Squeeze it here. Standing on my cord. There we go. We've arrived. We're here. Welcome, folks. It's so nice to see all of you. Whether this is your first time in this space, you're a long-time member of our community, whether you're reading the Hebrew in the Siddur or you're reading the transliteration, whether you sing beautifully or you sing well enough in the shower. We're glad you're here. We have some things to help us create this space together. The Siddur, the prayer book that you picked up on your way in, our amazing davening up team up here, some incredible speakers, both from within our community and some guests we have joining us tonight. But more than that, we have each and every one of you here in this space. Is anybody here at Mishkan for the very first time?
Yeah.
Raise your hands. Raise your hands again. A little high. Okay. We're so glad you're here. It's so nice to have you here. No matter what you're carrying in your head or your heart, or perhaps whatever it was that you consciously left at the door of this space, or back in your car, or on the CTA, or whatever you left when you closed your laptop and said goodbye work, at least for now. Whatever you left behind, whatever you're bringing in, you have exactly what you need to create a holy space. When we open up the Torah this week, we are looking at part of the book of Exodus, Parshat Tetzaveh, and you will instruct. And within this parasha, within this Torah portion, we are told about the priestly garments, the garments that the priests would wear when they were serving in the ancient Mishkan, which was this portable, holy space that the Israelites created together and carried together as they wandered through the wilderness. And one might look at these passages about linen robes and golden breastplates and pomegranate bells and think, well, especially in a modern Mishkan like this, where you're allowed to come as you are and dress down, so to speak, that might not feel so relevant. I mean, look at me, I'm not really wearing robes right now. But I want us to pay attention to one part of the priestly garment that we're told about, which is a kind of headband, a gold headband, if you will, that said Kadosh Ladonai on it, holy to God. And one might look at this and think, well, of course, right? The people needed a reminder that this dude standing up there throwing entrails and blood around was doing very sacred work. But I actually think more than that, it is a reminder to all of the Israelites that were looking at this individual, a reminder to them that they were Kadosh Ladonai, holy to God. And so I want us to take a moment. I want you to look at the faces of the people next to you. Faces that are all Kadosh Ladonai, holy to the divine, imbued with the spark of the sacred. And we sit a little straighter in this space. We take a deeper breath. We're invited on Shabbat to lift our eyes from our work, our tasks, our worries, whatever they might be, and to look at each other and to see that divinity, that spark reflected back, and also in their faces, to see your own spark reflected back to you. To give yourself the space in a world, I think particularly right now, that diminishes us or dims us or moves us to despair, to just give yourself the space for a little joy and a little connection and a little song and a little breath. So you might walk out of here burning just a little brighter into this Shabbos night. Why don't we continue singing a little bit? Let's build this Mishkan, this sacred space, together.
We're on page 2.
וישמחו הם הרבים ונדרף על סביבה צדק ומשפט מכון כיסו Picking up on the top of 5 Warzaru ala tzadik Uli Yisrael simcha Simchu tzadikim baronai Vehodu lezecher kodsho Mizmor shul Adonai shir chadash Ki niflaot asa Shir lo yamino Zroa kodsho God has done amazing things. This is the part in our service where we try to break ourselves of the negativity bias that we all walk around with all the time and actually try and remember what was good this week that happened to me or to someone I know that I want to celebrate. You can just shout it out. It's a real feel-good moment. Oh, you've got something. This week, I will tell you, on Wednesday morning, we did this in Minyan. My coffee foamer was a great source of delight that morning. But also, so was many people's coffee. You know what? No judgment. And I feel like somebody had a really good, serious one. You were in Cuba, and now you are here? Welcome back. That is Hope Springs Eternal. And so does Rosemary. What else? You got a birthday email from me. Happy birthday. Yeah, you just shout it out, Ari.
My daughter performed so well, she actually scared me.
Well, Ari's daughter, Noah, was in a horror movie, but it was a play at the Looking Glass Theater, and it was as scary as anything I have ever allowed myself to watch. She was so good. You know what, Aiden Gilbert? That is great news. Amen, amen.
Well, I got pulled off call center duty earlier than expected.
All right, excellent. Pulled off call center duty earlier than expected. Hi to everybody online at home. I'm sure if you've got good stuff that happened to you this week, you're dropping it in the chat. Maybe one more from in here before we continue.
My friend found a medication that works.
Hey, tell your friend that we cheered for them.
We pray for them every morning.
We do in Minyan? And now I know it's Noah's friend. Beautiful and good. We need to do this. We need this gratitude practice for our spiritual health, for our mental health, and just because it's good for all of us. We're going to turn to 7. Bottom of the page. And if at any point during the service somebody feels moved to just shout out another thing you're grateful for, nobody will object. We all need things right now to praise and feel grateful for. All right, we're at the bottom of 7. We pray to leverage the power that we hold and the power that we don't hold, but we hope God holds, to free those who are captive, to release those who are bound, to instill peace in the hearts of those who feel fear. Another any extra seats in this room? Does anybody have any next to them? No, we're all as filled in as we can be. Okay, just thought I'd check. All right, great. You have options of where to stand.
Or like lean against the back there, I think.
Okay, I mean, basically just however you feel most comfortable, do that. Do that. Yeah, and like floor is also welcome, although you'll be behind the post, but like, yeah. All right, great. And if you're gonna sit on somebody's lap, at least ask them. Maybe you know them, yeah, okay. We're on 8. Shabbos ride, the Shabbos energy we need to dance with in these next 24 hours to help bring us to a greater sense of peace, of openness, of courage, of respite, of refuge, of friendship, of love, of hope. So invite in whatever it is, whatever you want to feel, to cultivate, to hold and dance with tonight, to walk out of here with in your heart. Boi v'shalom, ater elana, gam besimcha, u'tzahara, tov emunei, am segula, boi We've got folks in our community who, in the last week, have lost someone they love. And folks in our wider Jewish community around the world who have, in this last week, lost someone they love. And so we say these words at the bottom of page 9. We might not know who it is that we're saying it for, who might be in our room or watching or out in the world who needs comfort. We practice saying the words anyway, hoping they reach the hearts of the people who need to hear it. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch sha'ar alei Yisrael. May the Holy One comfort all of the mourners of our people, of Zion, of all people. Say amen. Amen, amen. And we can take a seat, and I want to invite Tim to come on up here to offer a kavanah, reflection, as we go into this next psalm.
This thing on? No, seriously, can you hear me? All right, I'm going to go off script for a second. So I'm Tim, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm going to talk about something really personal, which I do every time I get up here for Mishkan. Somehow I became like the face of recovery for Mishkan. Not something I chose, but something that ended up happening. So this week, I celebrated 3 years sober. When Rabbi Leslie asked me to do this, my first instinct was to say no, because I get tired of talking about it sometimes, especially in front of strangers. But in recovery, I've learned that, and what you'll hear, is that whenever you're asked to share your story, part of your story, you do it because you never know who's going to be listening. I owe my sobriety to Mishkan community, Rabbi Lizzie, Rabbi Stephen, Beit Teshuvah in LA, and it's great. All right. It's been a while since I've done this, so bear with me. All right, so this week's Torah portion has a lot of beautiful details about the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary our ancestors built in the desert, but we all know that, right? But one small command right at the beginning stood out to me this year, especially as I'm celebrating 3 years sober. It's a command to keep the near to me burning, the eternal flame that was meant to stay lit at all times in the Mishkan. That image, a small steady flame that never goes out, feels incredibly personal. Before I got sober, I felt entirely in the dark. Addiction has a way of convincing you that you're not just lost, you're broken. I believed the light inside of me, my sense of goodness, my connection to God, even my understanding of who I was, had gone out completely. I thought I was too far gone, that even if I somehow stopped drinking, there'd be nothing left for saving. But what I learned through recovery, through community, and honestly through grace, is that the light inside of us never actually goes out, even when we can't see it, or it's buried under years of pain and shame and bad decisions, tons of bad decisions. It's still there. That little flame, the spark of who we really are, doesn't disappear. It just waits for us to uncover it. The Torah says for the oil, the Torah says the oil for the ner to meet has to be pure. That feels like such a powerful image of recovery. The light inside me wouldn't come back all at once and wouldn't come from quick fixes. It came back drop by drop every time I was honest with myself, if I let someone see the real me instead of the version I thought they wanted to see. That's the pure oil, those small acts of truth and humility that keep the flame burning even on hard days. And believe me, there have been hard days. Sobriety has not been perfect or easy, but the little light has kept flickering through all of it, whether my faith felt strong or shaky. One of the most beautiful things I've learned in the past few years is that this light, the light we uncover in recovery, isn't just for us. The near to meet in the Mishkan wasn't hidden away in the back room. It was meant to be seen. It reminded everyone who entered that God's presence was there, even when they didn't feel it. Recovery is the same way. When we share our light and when we tell our truth about where we've been and how we're healing, that light can guide someone else who's still stuck in the dark. There's a saying in recovery, we can only keep what we have by giving it away. I found the more I share my light, the stronger it gets. So here I am, 3 years sober. There was a time I couldn't imagine making it a week. And today, I'm standing here with a light inside me I never thought I'd see again. It's not a spotlight, it's not a blazing fire. Most days, it's just a small, steady flame, but real. But it's real, and it's mine, and it's burning. So if you've ever felt like your light has gone out, whether because of addiction or grief or anything life throws at us, please know, it's still there. I might be covered up, it might be dim, but it's never entirely gone. And every small act of truth, courage, and love adds a drop of oil to the flame. May we all tend to our own inner light and help others uncover theirs when we can't see it ourselves. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for sharing your journey with this community and with me for over 10 years. And everyone should know Tim is a resource. Like, if what he said tonight spoke to you, find him and talk to him. We're going to turn to page 11. This psalm is dedicated to the hard-won wisdom that comes with time and that comes with age. Tzadik katamai ifra ke'eretz ba'anon yizker shetuli b'beit Adonai b'chatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od genuv nesecha t'shenim merananim yehiyu lehagim ki yashar Adonai zuri belo aratavo Adonai malaki yud lavesh lavesh Adonai osid. We're at the bottom of 11. Edo tachanenu meod leveitcha nava kodesh Adonai leorech yamim. All right. Verse 7.
everybody. Welcome. This is for everybody who is here for the first time, and you thought to yourself, wow, Mishkan really should get a bigger space. We usually do have an appropriately sized davening space on Friday night. A great little Unitarian church in Lakeview, and they're doing construction. And like most construction projects that were supposed to be done 6 months ago, they're still working on it. And so we're here. I mean, the good news is, I think it's super cozy. Like, I think the singing sounds better when we're all smushed together like sardines. Actually, Joey Weissenberg, who wrote a lot of the music that we sing, says, you know, like in a bonfire, if you want the fire to catch, you don't put the sticks all like in a big circle. You throw them in a pile, and then it, and he compares that to like, you know, bodies in a room singing, which obviously didn't quite hit during COVID, but I'm glad you're all here. And I want to welcome especially folks who are here for the first time and invite you to share who you are and where you hail from, like what neighborhood, and maybe who brought you tonight or what brought you here. And so this is your opportunity to just like let us welcome you, like for real. Again, we clapped for you earlier, but now you can actually tell us who you are. And Rabbi Stephen will pass the mic so that folks at home can hear you, and folks here can hear you too. So yeah, if you're here for the first time, just go ahead and stand up. Yeah. Yes. Oh, all right. Okay. Well,
I get to start. Thank you. How wonderful to be here. My name is Michael Silverman. I'm Rebecca's father.
Rebecca!
Or so I'm told. I grew up in Chicago, but I now live in Massachusetts, and it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for welcoming me.
wonderful. Pass it that way. All right, I guess we'll go this way. Yeah, great.
My name is Jeffrey Price. I've lived in Chicago all my life. I currently live in Lincoln Park, and my friend Debbie invited me to come here this evening.
Beautiful, welcome. Thank you, welcome. Anybody else back here?
The problem is I outed you earlier when you raised your hand, so we know you're here.
Hi, I'm Talia Cantor. This technically is my first Shabbat service, but my second time doing a Mishkan thing, but still very new. I born and raised in Chicago. I live in Lakeview, and I here. It's kind of a long story, but I'm glad to be here today.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hey.
I'm Cole Eastman. I was invited by Noah, and we're excited to be here. This is my fiance, Alex. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Hi, I'm Alex Fuentes. I'm born and raised in Chicago, and we're from Irving Park.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Pass it yonder.
Hi, I'm Jake Rose. I was born in Kansas City, but I've been in Chicago for a while. I live in the West Loop, and I'm here with a coworker. We're checking out Mishkan for the first time. So.
All right, beautiful. A little shoal shopping. Great.
Hi, my name is Ezra Roberts. This is my first time here. I'm from Atlanta. I'm new to town. And I'm living in the Loop. Yes.
Great, wonderful. It's your first time in person, but I feel like it's so nice to like put a face, an in-person face with somebody who I've seen on Minion and like talked to and had conversations with on Minion.
I've been at Minion for the past 3 days.
Beautiful. Anybody else?
I'm Carolyn Ash. I'm not from Chicago, not even close. Hi Ez. I work with Ez, who will be speaking, so I decided to come, and this is my first Shabbat service, and it's wonderful. So thank you for allowing me to join.
We're so glad that you're here. Great. And I also want to welcome Carla Coupe, who's
hear from the mayor's office, who runs DEI initiatives for the mayor of Chicago. Kind of new in the role, but
I was trying to hide, but clearly I'm not
Sorry.
easily ignorable. Shabbat Shalom. Mbote, as my parents' tribal dialect says. My parents are from the DRC, from the Congo. I was not born in Chicago. I was born in Germany, in Aachen, and lived in Luxembourg for a good time of my life, and have been in the States since '97. So right now, I sit in that office, and I'm here to learn and be in community. It's been wonderful. I've been singing and humming along where I could. And I know she's going to hate me, but I brought my coworker Laura McCoy with me as well. So thank you so much for having us, Rabbi. Really appreciate it.
Carla and I spent over an hour on the phone the other day, and we had to get off just because I think I had somewhere I needed to be. But like, we could have kept talking for a long time, and we got to speak German together, which was very fun. What to say? Well, for everybody, you know, this is like what we do. Here it is Friday night. Next Saturday, we'll be on at CJDS. We have a bat mitzvah of a delightful young coming-of-age Jewish woman named Dahlia Goodman, and then the following Friday night we'll be on again, hopefully at Second Unitarian, but maybe here. Before all that happens, Purim is this Thursday night, and that is exactly the reaction that you want to have. It really, for people who are less familiar with the holiday or maybe don't have tickets yet, it's as close, well, Mishkan Purim is like as close to going to a live taping of Saturday Night Live, I think, as you will get in Chicago, certainly in a Jewish space on, you know, at Purim in Chicago, but also in costumes and also with drinks and hamantashen, which I don't think they give you at SNL. So, there is an unsubstanced, sort of picking up on Tim's earlier drash, there is an unsubstanced Purim pregame happening at Stan's Donuts, half an hour before the doors open, with Rabbi Zach, who runs our sobriety group. And there is an after party, which is hosted online, an online after party hosted by the Disability and Chronic Illness Group. So for folks who are watching at home, if you're going to be with us for Purim at home also, the entire spiel and Megillah will all be live streamed. You can keep hanging out with folks online. And the next day, so we always do Erev Purim, and we always like do it up, and then the next day it's still Purim, you know. I know, hard to imagine, because for many people who might have work the next day, they're still going to go to work the next day. And we will be here in the office doing Morning Minyan as we do on Friday, but in person here in the office, also online for people who are joining. Feel free to come in costume. We will probably be reading Megillah in English for the Friday Morning Minyan, but you know, we'll drink coffee and have snacks and do davening, and it'll be fun. A little intimate minyaning here on Friday. The QR code is somewhere around here, maybe like located on the way in. If you want to get on our email list, there's always stuff happening. Next Friday night, the North Suburban Potluck Group is, oh yeah, thanks Ronan. All right. If you want to get on our email list, that's how. The North Suburban Potluck Group is meeting, and over the course of the next 2 weeks, the Vaguely Jewish Book Club, the Rosh Chodesh Circle are meeting, and different clinician-led support groups through Maggie's Place for grief and disability and chronic illness. There is a queer youth group that has not just launched, but is like in full swing. We're launching a single parenting by choice group. That's run by a clinician who works with us, Leah Whiteman, for anybody who's gotten to know her through baby stuff. She's running a single parenting group, and so if that is of interest to you, again, you can reach out on the email. I think we're ready to get into Mari so that we can introduce the speakers who I know many of you came here to hear tonight. So we're going to stand, we're on page 13. We're going to be purposeful. Do it up.
I'm going to invite you to face east, for the ark,
Yeah.
at Ner Tamid.
That's
That Tim mentioned.
Yeah.
But Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch HaNevrach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai.
We can take a seat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Amarim Elohim. Page 14, Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael.
Al tasir mimenu im, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael.
Run 15.
Right, to cover your eyes, we take one deep, intentional breath for each word of the Shema. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלגתך ושוכבך וקומך, וקשרתם להיות לידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. האם שתום משלו מזותי אשר אנוכי מצווך. We'll make our way through the next 2 pages. Hebrew, the English, the commentary, the wandering thoughts. Adonai Elohim Emet, Emet V'nach Zot, Bekam Aleinu, Ki Hu Adonai Eloheinu Bezloto.
I'm going to pick up in a moment at the bottom of 18.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לך אנו שירת בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה מלכותך רובנך בו קיים לפני משה, זה אלי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדני יעקב גלום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. So in a moment we'll sing Hashkivenu, this special prayer that we only say at night and the evening. This is a moment in our services where we pray for a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace to be extended over all the people and places in the world in need of a little extra comfort, a little extra healing, a little more safety in this moment. Maybe it's somebody you know, maybe it's you, maybe it's a people or a place that's far away. Think of all those in Israel and Palestine in need of safety in this moment and healing, time for mourning and grief. We think of those in our own backyard, migrants who are afraid of being in their homes, their places of work and worship, of the unhoused on the street. Think of those in our community struggling with illnesses of mind and body, of spirit, people on a recovery journey, a fertility journey. Think of all those in this room with broken hearts, reeling their own particular wounds in need of care. So we pray for all of you and all of them. These words on page 19.
The English that we'll sing interspersed with the Hebrew is on the back of that sheet.
Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael, Ve'al Yerushalayim. I invite you to rise on page 20. בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה לעולם יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויבמן וינשא ויהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחת ונחמתה תאמרם במה ואמרו amen. We're going to take a moment for personal silent prayer. You can use the words of the Amidah, which begin in your Siddur on page 21. You can use whatever words come to your heart or mind. And the custom is to take 3 very small steps in the space, backwards, and 3 very small steps forward. but really the journey is to enter a space all of your own, for your own personal prayer. When you feel that your prayer is completed, you may have a seat.
To receive the light, may I be empty and open to receive. The words are on the back of that sheet. May I be full and open to receive the light. May I be full and open to receive. May I be empty and open to receive the light. May I be empty and open to receive. May I be full and open to receive the light. May I be full and open to receive. May I be empty and open to receive the light. May I be empty and open to receive. Shabbos, everybody. I feel like we often do a thing at the beginning of services where we feel our feet on the earth and feel our tuchus in the chair and take a deep breath in and just, arrive in body and mind and spirit. And so if you haven't done that yet tonight, actually, felt your feet on the ground and felt your body having stopped moving after a long week, even if all you do all week is sit in a chair, but just take a moment to feel yourself here in the room and breathe in and exhale. So I know many of you are here tonight because it's Shabbat, and where else would you be? But also many of you are here because we're hosting Nadav Tamir and Ezeldin Masri, two speakers, one Israeli, one Palestinian. Thank you, J Street, for bringing them to Mishkan so that we could learn in the way that we like to learn best, really, which is to say from people with actual direct lived experience of the thing that we are talking about. Thank you to Lance Friedman, if you're watching tonight, for making the introduction. And thank you all for being here. Rabbi Stephen and I this morning, we attended a training. This is a weekend that the Jewish Child and Family Services, JCFS, is doing a citywide thing in Jewish communities, helping people navigate estrangement from family members. Just like a phenomenon that's actually kind of a modern phenomenon, as it turns out, that for whatever reason, and we could talk about what all the reasons are, for many people, the most easy way to take care of your heart in a relationship that is hurting you is to just stop talking to the person or people that are hurting your heart. And we talked about all kinds of different reasons why that, sometimes happens in families. But then the instructor actually sort of interrupted one of the rabbis and was like, oh, I know what you're gonna say next, Israel. She was like, how Israel shows up in families and how parents don't talk to kids anymore, and how grandparents don't go to their grandkids' weddings because of this topic, because talking about this topic sends everybody, we looked at like a graphic that had like green at the bottom and yellow in the middle and red at the top. And you have to imagine green as you at your most relaxed state. She said, this is how the Dalai Lama is all the time. She's like, he has a driver, all he does is meditate all day, people make his food, like that's what living in the green is. But you know what you feel like when you're at your most relaxed. And then there's like yellow, which is maybe where many of us live much of the time. You're a little bit activated, but you can function. And then red is when you're like fully activated and cannot think straight. But as it turns out, this is a topic that can send people into the red very quickly while we pretend to be in the green. And so one thing she advised, she said, when people come into your office to talk to you about those relationships that are struggling because of talking about this issue, she said, don't talk about the issue. Don't like engage, don't get into it on like, what do you think the solution is to this long-standing, no. Like actually get into the sadness, the hope, the expectations, the relationship, the stuff that they can feel in their body, not the stuff that's happening out there. And we also need spaces where we can be comfortably uncomfortable, where you know that your body is safe, where you know that you're in a room of people who want to think and wrestle with a topic that's a really personal, thorny topic for so many. Used to be a topic that in the Jewish community was like absolutely the most unifying topic, and now is absolutely the most polarizing topic. And so many families and many Jewish communities can't do what we're gonna do in a moment, which is hear people share their perspective. And so I have a couple questions, I'm gonna introduce our speakers in just a moment. And then they're each gonna share a little bit about their background and why they do what they do. I have a couple questions that I've prepared, but also if you have questions or thoughts, I actually wanna invite you right now to think about a question, a genuine question, because this is one of these topics where we're all experts. We're not really all experts, but we all think we know the answer, we all speak with a lot of conviction. To place your mind in a curious place and turn to the person next to you who you did not come here with tonight, introduce yourself, and share your question with them. What is something you genuinely want to know, something you do not know that you're curious about when it comes to this topic? Okay, just take a second. That's not the space we're often in. Take a moment. When you're ready, turn to the person next to you, introduce yourself, share your question. This will be short.
Nadav Tamir is the executive director of J Street in Israel. J Street, for those of you who don't know, defines itself as a pro-democracy, pro-Israel, pro-peace organization, and as Eldin Masri is the chief field officer of PeaceWorks Foundation, whose mission is to secure a just and lasting two-state solution that respects the security and rights of both Israelis and Palestinians and opposes all forms of terror and violence. We condemn continued occupation and settlement expansion and push for equal civil, political, and economic rights as key steps to peace. And these are two different organizations, but you're speaking on a tour with J Street. And full disclosure, I'm on the rabbinic cabinet of J Street. And so what I'm hoping each one of you will do, I think we'll be here for half an hour, and then we will wrap our service. So just for, expectation setting. And then there's gonna be food in the other room. So I'm hoping each one of you, by way of introduction, can share a little bit about hang on. I can share a little bit about your upbringing, and then you'll go deeper. So Nadav Tamir has been in public service since he joined the Israeli Foreign Ministry in 1993 under Yitzhak Rabin's government, right? And has been in public service ever since, earned his MA from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government as a Wexner Fellow. Any other Wexner Fellow? Oh, Rabbi Stephen. In philosophy and political science from Hebrew University, got his BA, and lives in Givatayim with his wife, Dr. Ronit Tamir, and their 3 children. As Eldin Masri, as I said, is the chief field officer for the PeaceWorks Foundation. He was born in Gaza City, got his BA in political science and criminology from Northeastern Illinois University. Any Northeastern Illinois? Yeah, hey, all right. And an MA in international relations with a specialization in conflict resolution. And in 2000, he moved back to Palestine, is that right? With a job with the American International School in Gaza as a social studies teacher and the head of the upper school. And then in 2006, opened the One Voice Palestine Gaza office. You'll tell us a little bit about that. And was appointed executive director. At the end of the first Gaza war, he moved to Ramallah and accepted the job of director of development for that organization. And in 2011, he moved back to the Gaza Strip and was appointed as director of One Voice Gaza, and came back to the US 10 years ago, and is currently doing the work with PeaceWorks Foundation. So what I'd love to hear from both of you is both, a little bit about the organization you are working with, but not just what you do, also why you are doing what you do.
Palestinian American, originally from Gaza, like Rabbi Lizzie said. And I became involved in politics from early age, let's say by 17. And with the eruption of the first uprising, the Intifada, I became one of the members of the United Leadership of the uprising in northern Gaza.
Can everyone hear us?
Yeah.
Let's make sure everyone can really hear.
Yeah, okay,
There
great.
You go.
Yeah.
Reading in that microphone.
Cool. So in 1987, December 1987, with the eruption of the first uprising, the Intifada, I joined the United Leadership of the uprising in northern Gaza, and I started doing things behind my family's back without telling them, covering my face and go out at night, spray paint PLO's directions for the strikes, hanging Palestinian flags, enforcing strikes. And I kept on doing that until I came to Chicago in 1990 to study political science at Northeastern University. And when I finished my master's, I went back because I wanted to take part in building the Palestinian state, and the aim was to work for the Palestinian government. Worked a little bit with the American International School, then I was recruited by the Palestinian Diplomatic Corps, where I was a first secretary working in the peace sector. What I do because I want to see an end to the Israeli military occupation of the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and to have a Palestinian state. We are 14 million Palestinians, half of us in the occupied territories, in Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, and the other half is in diaspora. And we are people under the sun, and we deserve to have a state. Just like the Israelis have a state, we deserve to have a state.
Thank you, Ez. Thank you for a beautiful service. Even a kibbutznik like me Zionist progressive home, and I remain Zionist progressive. I fought in the Lebanon War, and that my result, the result was that I decided I need to be a diplomat because I've seen the limit of military power, and eventually I did become a diplomat, and my first position was in the office of Shimon Peres after the Oslo Accords were signed, and I saw the promise of peace. And back then I already realized that if we don't end the occupation will end us, and we cannot be free and secure in our own state if the Palestinians will not be free and secure in their state. And later on, as a diplomat, I served in the US, I served in the embassy in Washington, and later on as Consul General to New England. And I've seen Jewish organizations trying to help Israel, and then saw a Jewish community that was that couldn't find their political home in those Jewish organizations because they kind of told them the only way to support Israel is to be in line with the governments who became more and more right-wing, which was, very hard for many Jews who tend to be more liberal and progressive, and they didn't think that in order to love Israel, you need to hate Palestinians. So when J Street was created, when I was in Boston, I said, wow, this is exactly what we need, an organization that is not part of the blame game, but is part of the solution. I'm trying to create a political space for American foreign policy that could help us solve this conflict and bring dignity and freedom and security to both people. And this is what I do today as the Israeli director of J Street, and I feel very much at home, even in those very sad days, and we're all heartbroken, Israelis and Palestinians, and both are pretty blind to the suffering of the other side. But I also do believe that with all this tragedy, we have a huge opportunity that we will probably get into in the questions that is there for us to grab, and I hope we'll be smart enough to do it.
Well, why don't you follow that thread? This moment feels, I think, pretty bleak. And not just in your country, but that's what we're talking about right now. And so why do you think this is an opportunity in this moment? And I would love to hear from your perspective and also yours as what's different and unique and uniquely right in this moment for this conversation.
Sure. So I think that what October 7th did is that it kind of brought home to many people outside Israel, especially in the Arab countries around us, the sense of urgency that we cannot just leave this conflict and manage it or keep it, and it has so many spillover effect all over. And there is on the table an offer from the Arab League, from the entire Arab countries around us to normalize relations with Israel, but it has to include a Palestinian state. It has to include an alternative to Hamas in Gaza, which is Palestinian. And unfortunately, we don't grab this offer because of our current government. But this government is not there forever, and I do believe that if American Jews and liberal Israelis, who are the majority according to all service, will push towards that direction, we could change completely our situation on the ground. It's true that today, because of the trauma and the fear, when you come to most Israelis and tell them we have to end the occupation for moral reasons or demographic reasons, you don't get much traction. But when you connect it to the security that we could achieve if the whole region will normalize relations with Israel, and it will not be just a two-state solution, but a 23-state solution, I think that could completely transform the region, and at the same time give the Palestinians the freedom that they deserve. So I think that it's very hard to predict what your administration will do and when we will have the elections.
Sorry. On behalf of America.
Sorry.
No, but I actually think that even though Biden worked very hard in order to create this opportunity and worked very hard with all the Arab countries and tried to reform the Palestinian Authority, unfortunately he wasn't strong enough to overcome the obstacle of our government. And I think Trump, even though he has completely the wrong values in my mind, that if he wants glory and business, the Saudi deal is what he's looking for, and the Saudi deal will have to include the Palestinian state. So I think that the opportunity is there, but it will not happen if we will not work at it, because hope is not something that you just wish, it's something that you work and act for. And this is what J Street is trying to do in the Jewish community and in American politics.
Thank you. What's your view on the word opportunity to describe this moment, and if it does feel different?
Well, I mean, October 7, Hamas terrorist attack against Israel, and the atrocities committed by Hamas. I also lost two cousins. My first two cousins were killed by Hamas in near Mushab, Suhail and Khair al-Masri. They had permissions to work and sleep inside Israel, and when Hamas broke into the Mushab, they shot at the white van they were in. They killed 7 Palestinians, including 2 of my cousins. And if Hamas kidnapped 250 Israelis on October 7 and brought them to Gaza, they kidnapped 2 million Palestinians in 2007, and I was there when it happened. And I blame the Palestinian Authority for not standing their ground and defending the Gaza Strip and us, Palestinians in Gaza. And in the same time, I blame Israel for not sending an Apache or an F-16 to stop Hamas coup. And later on, Benjamin Netanyahu supporting Hamas with $30 million in cash from the Qataris every month. We need to stop managing the conflict once and for all, and we need to solve it once and for all, because this is a conflict between two proud people, the Jewish Israelis and the Palestinian Arabs. And we cannot, us Palestinians, we cannot continue living under military occupation. It deprives you of your dignity, your freedom, and you feel less than a man under a military occupation. So we will continue our struggle for our independence. And I support nonviolent struggle, smart nonviolent struggle to end the occupation and to have a Palestinian state. But not everybody is like me. You have Palestinians who have been living in refugee camps for the past 77 years, since the Nakba, since the catastrophe. And these refugee camps, especially in Gaza, are hotbeds for extremism, easy recruits for Hamas and for Jihad al-Islami. And I said that once I was hosted in Kfar Azza, and the audience started to shout that they cannot sleep, it's not safe, the Gazans throw rockets at them. And I told them, listen, you gotta know who threw rockets at you. The one who threw rockets at you are the refugees that lived here in 1948, and now they live in Jabal refugee camp. Miserable conditions. Iran uses them, Hezbollah uses them, Hamas uses them, and they throw rockets at you. And until these refugee camps are closed and those Palestinian refugees are rehabilitated and cities built for them and emergence of a Palestinian state, there will be a problem. So I told them for them to vote for politicians in Israel who support peace and support a negotiated two-state solution. This is an opportunity again, I repeat, because we don't want to see again what happened on October 7 happening again. I lost my home. It was bombed by the Israelis. My whole neighborhood was bombed by the Israelis. Over 100 houses were demolished. I lost 100 and some of my extended families. Those were civilians, grandmas and grandpas and kids, not combatants. I also lost combatants, but I don't count those. I count the civilians. The Israelis and the Palestinians don't deserve to live like this. There is enough land between the Mediterranean and the River Jordan for us to have a negotiated two-state solution. You don't want Israel, you don't want to give us equal citizenship in Israel, just like the Arabs in the triangle, in Nazareth, and in the mixed cities. You don't want to, because you want to keep your Israel Jewish and democratic. You don't want a binational democratic state. Then leave us alone. Allow us to live. Allow us to have our own country, our own airport, our own seaport. Allow us to live. We are suffocating under military occupation. I left. I don't want to come back to America. I finished with America. I did my master's. I went back. I built a house. I had full-time job, part-time job. My wife was working. I was raising my kids in Gaza. But I had to face 3 wars, 2008, 2012, 2014, miserable conditions to live under. And I came back to America, scared for my kids. We need to solve this problem. We cannot wait.
First of all, I think as you just shared all of your family's loss, we all are mourning with you. And
Thank you.
sorry, I mean, the words don't really convey.
And I'm sorry also for the Israelis. You know, I feel sad for the Israelis having to go through this. Yes.
So you began your career under Yitzhak Rabin in a time when peace songs were being written in Israel, and there was a much more optimistic feeling. I think that was true in Israel, and I think it was also true among Palestinians, that there was really hope for self-determination, for two peoples to, have their own governments and healthcare systems and, flags and airports and that vision was dashed by extremists, right? By Yigal Amir killing Yitzhak Rabin and the movement that birthed him, which really is the movement that now is governing Israel. And also Palestinian, the bus bombings and the Second Intifada, which sort of created the security apparatus that is now what the occupation looks like. And the security, sort of what you were describing is Israelis are not motivated by sort of the moral question of the occupation. Really, it's a question about security. But it seems like it's extremists, people who actually are less concerned about security and more concerned about a kind of messianic, total vision of ownership of the entire land. And that's true, I think,
on both sides.
It's true on both sides. You've got the Jewish version, you have the Palestinian version of that. And it seems that they are really good. They are the minority, but they're really good at throwing the entire enterprise of peace building away every single day. I know so many people involved in on-the-ground peace work and in diplomacy. And what you both described, a vision of moving toward a negotiated peace between, individuals who just want to live in this land that they love, raise their families, have gardens, go to school, go to college. What's the way that the extremists don't win this conflict? Because it seems right on both sides they're actually working together, right?
Yes.
They're empowering each other,
Yes.
and the key word, and you used it also in your service, is hope. I believe that hope is not just by mistake our national anthem, but we had too many leaders that think that fear is a better motivator and victimization. So we have to work on the hope, and I believe that if with the help of the international community, especially in the U.S., especially the Jewish community, if we could make the two states real and tangible, most Israelis will support it. We were in trauma also after the Yom Kippur War, after the wars with Egypt and Syria, and Israel became very hawkish and voted for a very hawkish Prime Minister Menachem Begin. But a few years later, with a lot of help from the US, we had the peace with Egypt, the largest and strongest Arab country in the world. And we had, after the first Intifada, which was also very traumatizing, we had Oslo and the peace with Jordan. So I do believe that those who believe in peace, both here and there, in Palestine, in Israel, in the US, should work hard to bring back the hope. And I'm sure Israelis and Palestinians, the peace camp in both countries, will become a larger force if they will feel that it is tangible. Because there is nothing that is more helping the terrorists than the lack of hope. We know from all research that when there is a political horizon, Hamas shrinks to less than 20% of the Palestinian society. But when there is no hope, Hamas thrives. And we know also that this government in Israel is not popular. Majority of Israelis want to end the war with a hostage deal and to move towards a diplomatic solution and creating an alternative to Hamas in Gaza. So we just need to get rid of them, and we can only do it with activism. So despair is not a strategy. We have to act. Hope is the only thing that could change it, but not just hope at home. Hope in doing politics, in doing activism, in sermons. I think that we should all act to bring it together, because I think that's the only future for Palestinians, for Israelis, and for the Jewish people.
I must say that both the extremists in Israel and in Palestine work in a way that defeat each other's actions and reactions. And we've seen that plays very clear between Ben Gvir, in particular, Ben Gvir and Yahya Sinwar, Hamas leader in Gaza. It started around the Temple Mounts, skirmishes, little war here and there, and then the thing got blown out of control. That said, I also wanted to say that extremists are successful because they are dedicated 24/7 to their vision.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
They wake up, they go to sleep thinking how we are going to achieve victory for our side. On the other hand, moderates are normal people, okay? Normal, okay? They want to live, you know, they want to raise their kids, they want to go out, okay? But then at one point they want to think about takun ulam and they want to make everything good in the world, okay? That doesn't work, okay? We need commitment. We need for the silent majority here in the United States to really approach their elected representative and tell them that, you know, it's very important, this subject. It's very important for you to end the subject. Without the US involvement in Israel-Palestine peace process, there is no peace process. Only country that was able to bring Anwar al-Sadat and Menachem Begin together in Camp David was America, Jimmy Carter. And the peace had lasted for more now than 40 years, okay? And Egypt is the biggest Arab country with 112 million. Imagine 112 million are at war with Israel now. But because of peace, there is no war between Egypt and Israel. And I want to see that also between us Palestinians and Israel. I remember time during the early 80s that we didn't even have borders between us and Israel, Gaza. Israeli Jews came to my village to shop for vegetables and to fix their cars. And we also went to work inside Israel without having to have a permission. My first job was in Ashkelon when I was maybe 15 years old, picking up apples. So for me, Israelis are not strangers, especially for us Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem. We grew up around Jews and around Israelis. But the continuation of the military occupation made things very difficult because there is no people that will sit silent when there is a foreign military occupation that subjugates them. And it happens with you too, Jewish people. In 132 AD with Bar Kokhba, revolt against the Romans, and you challenged the biggest and the strongest empire around the world. And what happened? You were crushed and you were sent into exile for 2,000 years away from Jerusalem. So, and you kept on saying, next year in Jerusalem, for 2,000 years. My mom and her family were expelled from Safad in the Upper Galil only 77 years ago. And there are 6 million Palestinians just like that in the diaspora living in refugee camps. It happened that 2 years ago, because of my American passport, I went to Jerusalem, took a taxi, I told them, take me to Safad, take me to Safad. And I had a map where my grandfather, Nuruddin al-Ayyub, had it drawn with his house and his property. I went looking for it. And I see it. Where does my mom came from? Where does my Ayyub family came from? And I got to see what happened, the ruins of the houses. His property became part of Tikhana Markaziyya in Isfahan. Those refugees in Gaza, in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem, in the diaspora, we need to find a solution for them. Most of them had settled where they at, especially the ones in Jordan, 3 million of them. However, we need to find hope for us Palestinian people. Because if we don't have hope, then despair, then maybe violence. And I don't want to see that again. And like I said earlier, the best thing is a negotiated two-state solution based on the 1967 borders with the introduction of the mechanism of land swap. And compensation for the refugees. Compensation. You cannot take somebody's property and say it's mine. And I say the same thing for the Jews who were expelled from Iraq and from Libya and from Morocco and from Egypt and from Syria and from Iraq. Same. We need to have not only Israel-Palestine peace, but Arab, Jewish peace. 21 Arab countries need to have peace with Israel. Normalize relations, open embassies, exchange ambassadors. You get to visit. Enough for Israel living in isolation, living by the sword for 77. For how long are you going to do this? 77 years. Moshe Dayan told you, don't close your eyes, keep it open. But until when? The only way that us Palestinian Arabs and you Israeli Jews can live in peace and harmony is by splitting that land. You have yours and we have ours, and maybe hopefully in the future, the two independent states, maybe they can have a confederation between two states, because we share the water, we share the sea, we share the land, and to some extent we share religious places. I would love, okay, for the Jews and the Palestinian Arabs to share the Abrahamic Mosque in Hebron, for example, but in a peaceful way. Also the Temple Mount, okay, in a peaceful way. Thank you.
Thank you. My goodness, wow. I want to ask a kind of provocative question, if that's okay. I want to take another few minutes, because both of you are smart guys who I've heard handle provocateurs, and I'm not trying to be a provocateur, but I would say many people have given up on the two-state solution and think of it now as a convenient way to abide the status quo. You know, continue to allow settlements to grow, and the right-wing government in Israel to kind of do what it does, and to just kind of perpetuate the direction we've been going. And that in the meantime, what we have actually is a one-state solution. It's just a one state that's very unequal. And so I think you have many people right now who are, who think the two-state solution is not realistic anymore, and are envisioning, as you described, like a one state with a vote for everybody, which, rightfully, I think, for many Israelis is very challenging to even consider, to think about, and feels like a real insult to the work that has been put into the creation of the first Jewish sovereign nation in 2,000 years, which feels like a great accomplishment, although at great cost in so many ways. So I guess my question is,
given the alternatives, given the reality on the ground, this is two parts. First of all, why do you continue to advocate for what you are up here so forcefully advocating for? Why do you still believe that two-state self-determination for two peoples is the right direction? And then my last question eventually will be like, what are you hoping that we American Jews and allies, because we here are not actually Israeli Jews. You're talking you Israeli, we live in Chicago. And so what might we do to advance the vision of peace and security that both of you are describing?
You are the same. Israelis, Jews, and American Jews. For us Arabs, you are Yahud. You are Jewish. Okay? Without you here, they cannot survive there.
And also for me, we are one in a way, because if you read the Declaration of Independence of Israel, it's supposed to be the country of all its citizens equally, including the non-Jews, but it is also the country of the Jewish people at large, so it's your country as well. And you have a say. And when you leave the scene to the extremists who are very active in your politics, you're actually creating a situation that will create a rift between you and the other biggest Jewish community in Israel. So we have to work on this together. I do believe that you cannot say in one sentence, a one-state solution, because it's not a solution, it's a catastrophe. It will be ongoing bloodshed forever, because I don't see Palestinians giving up on their full rights, and I don't see us giving up on the dream of 1,000 years to have our homeland. So the only way is to, as said, is to split the land into two, and if we could reach eventually an agreement of land for all, where Palestinians could vote for the Palestinian parliament and live in Israel, and some of the settlers could stay in Palestine and vote for the Knesset, may it be, but first there should be a Palestinian entity that could accept that decision, and without this power balance where things are being dictated to them. And I think that you could help a lot, because for some reason the only voice that we hear from the established Jewish community, whether it's the federations or the main organization, is we are in line with the Israeli government. And when we have in the Israeli government Jewish supremacists, and when we have people who don't even care about Israel, they care about their sector or about their messianic dreams, and the Jewish community is just giving them carte blanche, we will lose everything that we worked for. So I'm expecting Jews who care deeply about Israel, but are progressive and understand that the Palestinians deserve to have their homeland as well, to act politically, to act within the community, with the politician, to make this voice much more powerful. We know from our surveys that most of the Jews are with us, but again, a small minority is dictating to the politicians in America what is the Jewish voice. And one of the reasons why Biden was not strong enough to force Netanyahu to stop the war when it became purposeless, when it just killed more soldiers and hostages and so many Palestinians, was because he thought that the Jewish voice will not, he will have to pay politically. So if you help us create this space where American foreign policy could help us solve this conflict, it will be good for America, it will be good for Palestinians, it will be good for Israel, it will be good for the world.
There are two solutions to Israel-Palestine conflict. There is no third solution. Either one democratic state in which Israelis and Palestinians live, and that will include the right of return. So you'll have Palestinians going back to Ashkelon, to Jaffa, to Safad, and we might have the majority at one point, Palestinians. The second one is a negotiated two-state solution. And the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, made a historical concession in 1988 in Alger, in the Palestinian National Conference. The PLO agreed that us Palestinians, what we want is a state, and the Palestinian land occupied in 1967. There is Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem. And this is a historical concession. And the PLO made that concession because the PLO and us Palestinians know that if the sky fell on the earth, the Zionists in Israel will not allow for a binational state. We know that. And we know the balance of power. We know the balance of power. And I am a realist. So what can we do to end the occupation is a Palestinian state under 1967 borders. And we will absorb the 6 million refugees in the newly established Palestinian state, not inside Israel. So I believe a negotiated two-state solution is good for the Israelis and good for us Palestinians. That said, the two-state solution, there is a window of opportunity for it. It's not going to always be open. Why? Because Israel keep on grabbing the land. At one point, we're going to have no land to build our state on. And now Trump is in cahoot with Netanyahu, and soon, maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he's going to recognize Israel's sovereignty over almost 300 settlements in the West Bank and the Jordan Valley. What will be left for us? Nothing. And when that happens, I think the PLO will change its demand. They will say to the international board, look, we don't have land to build a state on. Now we just want civil rights and we want to be part of Israel. And I don't want that, because I want my own Palestinian state. Like you have your national anthem, I want to have my national anthem. I want to teach my kids Arabic. I don't want to teach them Hebrew. I want them to grow up either Christians or Muslims. I want to have a Palestinian state under the sun. And that's why I have passion for this, and that's why I appreciate partners in Israel that I work with in order to arrive to a negotiated two-state solution. Israel for the Jews, Palestine for the Arabs, and maybe later on, like Nadav said, we can have some form of agreements, maybe some form of cooperation between two sovereign states, but we cannot continue as Palestinians living under military occupation. No way. We will continue our struggle. Different means. And for Americans, like I said in the beginning, your voice is very important. You are the one who elect those working in DC. And you tell them that you want them to focus on Israel-Palestine conflict and to bring the two parties to negotiation. And don't let them go home. Like when Barack and Arafat came in 2000 and Clinton let them go. Don't let them go until they sign it. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, this conversation, honestly, we could continue it for a long time, and I imagine there are many people. You all had your questions before. I wonder if those questions, if you're available to stick around later after you get a little bit of food. Maybe we could have like an ongoing conversation that's more of a conversation with anybody who wants to.
Did you have iftar?
Yeah. So we can do that after services tonight. I was told I go to Israel about twice a year, and one of the saddest things that I heard the last time I was there is that nobody writes peace songs anymore. Is that there's not a spirit, there's not
Same
a passion.
thing in Palestine.
There's not a sense of hopefulness, and so one of the things, and I've mentioned this to this community before, that I have been told, one of the things that makes us different here than folks who are actually in the land is that we have distance from the trauma.
Yes.
And so things that maybe aren't possible to hold in the heart when you're in the midst of trauma, when there are rockets flying at your head or when there are bombs falling on your house, we actually can hold from a distance. And that thing is hope. And that thing is a vision of what you're describing, a vision of people living alongside each other, not wanting to kill each other, but actually just trying to get their kids to school on time. And we, uniquely, from a distance, can actually hold that vision, and that we have to. And if we don't, my God, like how could we expect folks who are so much more impacted to hold it? And my prayer is that we just do this sooner rather than later. People have been talking about what you've been talking about for decades and decades and decades, and my prayer is that it just happens already, and that all of us participate in the ways that we are able to bring about peace for my children, for your children, grandchildren, and for the entire region. I want to ask us all to stand and to join together in singing a song that was written during those hopeful times that at first I asked myself, like, am I too cynical to sing songs of peace in a moment like this? We absolutely cannot be too cynical to sing and to pray for peace. Oh no, not up there. Oh yeah, shalom aleinu. Oh yeah, shalom aleinu. Oh yeah, shalom aleinu. Be'al kulam. Oh yeah, shalom aleinu. Oh yeah, shalom aleinu. Oh yeah, shalom aleinu. Be'al kulam. Salam aleinu be'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu be'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od Yavo shalom aleinu. Od Yavo shalom aleinu. Od Yavo shalom aleinu. Be'al kulam. Od Yavo shalom aleinu. Od Yavo shalom aleinu. Od Yavo shalom aleinu. Be'al kulam. Thank you both so much for being here tonight with us. Thank you, J Street, for bringing that. In 2 weeks, I'm going to a J Street conference in Washington, D.C. Next year, if you want to join me, there'll be information out on little cards out by the food and out by where you leave, a.k.a. the door. Sorry, yes. 32. Aleinu l'shabeach l'ton ha'kol, l'tei gdula v'tzeh breshit, shalom asanu b'ha'aretz tot, ve'lo samanu mishpatot ha'adama, shalom samchakenu kahem, ve'goraleinu k'chol hamonam, ve'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim,
you to remain standing if you're in a period of mourning or you're remembering somebody on their yard site on the anniversary of their passing. Just take a moment to go around the room and people can bring the names of those they're remembering into this space. Any other names?
Meg Fitzgerald.
Turn to page 34 for Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabban ve'alma tivrach v'yirtei ve'amlich machotei b'chayachon v'yomechon uv'chayei tachol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen Yehei shmei Rabban v'varach ve'olam umei almaya Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzhalal shemei t'kudusha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata ta'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen Oseh shalom b'mromah Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei te'el v'yimru amen Yehi zichronam livracha may all their memories be for blessing.
This is so nice. I don't want it to end, but I know it should end because people are hungry. Speaking of, ta-da!
As well.
If anybody uses either of the bathrooms tonight and you notice a fancy new lock system on the door, I want you to give it up for this man holding this. This is Will Burdine, everybody. He's our office, well, he's like the utility batter of the Mishkan office space and service space and everything, but he's the genius that came up with the keyless, vacant, occupied bathroom system.
That's amazing.
No, give yourself more credit. Going on Amazon and buying the thing when there are so many things to choose from, requires genius.
Just to truly collectively reduce the anxiety of everybody who's in the bathroom wondering if somebody's going to walk in on them. It really is a gift to us and to the Jewish people.
Amen. And also just want to welcome back Rabbi Rachel Goldberg, who's in the back or yonder. She's been in Jerusalem for the past 3 years? 4.5? And is about to start a new rabbi job in Ashland, Oregon. Star of our Bat Mitzvah video, but also for a few more weeks, our Monday Minyan leader. Anyway, happy to see you here. We are going to stand. We are going to bless challah. We are going to bless wine. And then we're going to sing more, but you don't have to stay. If you want, you can just go get food in the next room. If you want to join us for Kiddush, it is on page 30 in your Siddur. 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'kafel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah ba'anu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahavat u'ratzon yidchei lanu.
Zikaron le'maaseh Bereshit, ki hu yom tehila le'mingrei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu b'charta v'yotanu kidashta im kol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava u'ratzon hilchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. Oh, thank you so much.
I saw you eyeing it.
Yeah.
Ta-da! If you want to reach towards somebody who's reaching towards somebody who's reaching towards the challah, if you don't know them yet, introduce yourself first. Bless this bread together. And as Rabbi Lizzie said, there is a lot more food in the other room, but we'll also pass this around.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech